7 Cursed Objects that Scientists Fear. 1. The Crying Children Paintings. These paintings were a series created by an Italian painter who's known as Giovanni Bragalin, but his real name was Bruno Amarillo. Bruno was born in Venice in 1911 and fought in WW2, which ended up being the inspiration for a lot of his paintings during his time in the war. He saw a lot of suffering children, and this is where he got the idea for the series of Crying Children paintings. After the paintings were sold, there began to be reports of fires in all of the places where the paintings were held. While this could have just been a strange coincidence, the weirdest part is that the paintings always remained intact while everything else around them was burned. This quickly became the most talked about thing and was on the front of every newspaper, and the paintings quickly gained the nickname Diablo. 2. The Blarney Stone. For hundreds of years, the Blarney Stone has resided within Blarney Castle, which is near Cork, Ireland. The stone is a piece of limestone. And legend says that those who give the stone a smooch will then be given the gift of the gab. This little smooch can bestow the power of being able to talk your way out of any situation, which would be incredibly useful. But there are always those who try to indulge in too much of a good thing. The issues start when you attempt to take a piece of the stone, no matter how small, away from its home. Those who don't follow the rules and take the stone end up being cursed with bad luck. Every year the castle receives parcels from greedy tourists who tried their luck at stealing portions of the stone. These parcels are returned with the intention of lifting the curse of misfortune. It is said that once the stone is returned, the curse will be lifted. 3. The Screaming Skull. The Screaming Skull resides in the Burton Agnes Hall in England, and it is thought to have belonged to Catherine and Griffith. It's said that Catherine was the youngest in the family, and she was the one who enjoyed wandering around the property. One day while she was out strolling around, she ended up being surrounded by a group of robbers who took all of her possessions and then viciously harmed her and left her for passing away. She was found and brought back to the hall to be tended to, but unfortunately a few days later she succumbed to her injuries. Before she passed away, she was upset about the thought of leaving her family, so she asked them to remove her head after demise and keep her skull, so that they would always have a piece of her around. The family agreed to her face, but after her passing they buried her body, head still intact. After her burial, the family began experiencing some extremely strange things around the house, like bumps and moans and horrible blood-curdling screams that they could not find. 4. The Haunted Doll. This one doesn't exactly have a name. The doll's owners say that this doll is possessed and causes lots of troubles at night. The incredibly creepy thing about this one is that it is said that you don't need to do anything in order for this doll to decide it wants to haunt you. You just simply need to be around it, and that is more than enough for the torment to start. Owners of the doll have reported getting a bunch of strange scratches which they believe are because of the doll. It isn't exactly clear where the spirit or spirits that reside in this doll have come from or what happened, but the doll was bought from its previous owners by a woman named Deborah Davis. 5. The Ballista Balls. A ballista was used in the Roman military, and it was kind of similar to a crossbow but much larger, and it could shoot arrows or stones. In 1989, there were archaeologists that were working by the Israeli-Syrian border when they found these large stones close to what seemed to be the remains of a ballista. But around 1995, the stones ended up getting stolen, and it took a while for anyone to notice. Forward to 2015, and the same stones that were stolen ended up in the courtyard of a museum in Israel with a note left from the person who stole them. The note explained that ever since they took them, he had experienced terrible luck and believed the stones were the reason he had a very successful business that suddenly began to fail after he took the stones. And later his family abandoned him, and he was forced to get rid of almost all of his possessions to settle all of his debts. 6. The Golden Eagle. This car was a 1964 Dodge 330 limited edition, and it has been blamed for the demise of around 14 people. It was said that this car started out as a police car originally, but then there were 3 officers assigned to this car, who all ended up taking their lives and other people's lives in horribly violent ways. Not in the car, but still super weird that this all seemed to happen after they had been using the car for work. Because of this strange correlation, it ended up being sold off to another man throughout the 80s and 90s. It was said that because of the rumored cursed car, it became a point of interest for vandals. People began vandalizing the car only to meet their own untimely fates, which were all met in strange ways. 7. The Myrtles Plantation Mirror. Myrtles Plantation is located in St. Francisville, Louisiana, and it is said to be one of the most haunted places in the entire world. One of the reasons for this spooky reputation is because of a mirror that resides inside it. It is said that this mirror holds the spirit of Sarah Woodruff and her 2 children. Legend goes that a woman named Chloe was a slave at the plantation who drew up a plant to get revenge on the owners of the plantation. Sarah and her husband, Chloe, baked a cake full of poison for them, but it ended up only being Sarah and 2 of her children who consumed the poisonous cake. When they passed away, it is said that their spirits went into the only mirror that was uncovered at the time. Thus the haunted mirror was born. People who have since visited the plantation have claimed to see the family in the reflection as well as the handprints of small children on the glass.